nobody really knows what he wants. It's perfectly fantastic to talk, as I have for many years, with young people when I've been in college situations. And the thing that one talks about most in the long run is what is generally called vocational guidance. What do you want to do? Well, some people say they just want to paint or write poetry. And others say they'd like to ride horses. Others say they want to make money. And they laugh at the people who want to paint and ride horses because they say, you never make any money that way. But I always said in this kind of counseling, do what you really want to do and to hell with the money. Because you will find out that if you think that what you want is money, that's not what you want at all. Unless you are merely fascinated in the mathematics of making money, which of course has a certain interest to it, because it's like playing poker. But if you think you want money and that will make you happy, it won't do anything of the kind, because all the extraordinarily rich people I know are for the most part miserable. They have no idea how to enjoy themselves. They are either so absorbed in making and keeping the money and defending it against other people and against the government that they worry about it day and night, or if they don't worry about it, they worry instead about their health or their family relationships. There's always something to worry about. It doesn't matter how secure you are, how well off you are, there's always something to keep you awake at nights if you're the worrying type. And the people who think that what they want is money, they say, well, I'd like to be rich. Well, I would say, be specific. What sort of wealth do you want? You can't drive 6 cars at once. You can't live in 10 homes at once, nor eat 12 roast beefs at one meal. So in concrete terms, please make it as concrete as possible. Should I say as material as possible? What do you want? And who do you want to marry? And be specific. Don't just say, I want a beautiful and intelligent woman. Because there is no such thing in the abstract. There is only this particular beautiful and intelligent woman, or that one. So you have to get very specific in thinking this question through. And soon you discover, let's just take the question of marriage as an example. This may seem to be a little bit off the subject, but it really leads directly into it. Let's take the question of marriage. Now, you say, yes, I want this, I want that, I want the other. All right, let's go along now. Would you like a woman who always does exactly what you want her to do? That she fulfills your wishes even before you've expressed them? That she is completely responsive to you? You think that over for a while, and some people would jump at it and say, yes, that's exactly what I want. But I say to think about it just a little bit more, will you? And they go on thinking a while, and they suddenly realize that what they would have would be a plastic doll. Very highly mechanized one, but very, very complicated one. But that's what it would be. Because she would never be able to surprise you. And so it would be like a plastic doll, because when you push a plastic doll, it yields. And then when you take your finger away, it goes back to its ordinary position. Well, then you push that and it behaves that way. You say, that's not alive. That's just a doll. But what you like about a real live woman is that if you push her a little bit, you don't know what she's going to do next. And so she comes back at you, and you realize that she is a center of life, just like you are. See? Or she's another one. And that's interesting. Now, this moral is, in other words, applicable to everything. If you want to control everything, all you will have will be a doll. But we want it to bounce back in an unpredictable way. But not too unpredictable. But the something else we want, you see. We want a relationship with with a real living being. And that means you've got to let things get out of control so that you can be surprised. Now notice, and we're going to come back to this, notice. That's the state of affairs we're in, however much we may complain about it. We are in this state of affairs where we're always being surprised and where things are only very vaguely predictable. We can push technology and we can push science, maybe in the coming centuries, to extraordinary degrees where we can predict all kinds of things. But I'm quite sure that as we approach that goal, there will be an increasing anti-scientific revolution. We can see it already among the hippies, that there is a tendency to want to abandon very, very high technology because it is, as they say, and this is a sort of symbolic expression, covering the earth with concrete, taking away the thing that we call, and we really don't know what we mean, we call it nature. It's somehow against nature. And when we say nature, we mean the smell of the earth, we mean the wind in the trees, we mean vegetation, grass, clouds, water, all sorts of funky things. And there's something in us, you see, that yearns for that always. And yet we have a battle inside ourselves. When it gets too funky, we say it stinks and we want to clean it up. And we're always trying to straighten things out. Nature is all wiggly all over the place. But whenever you see anything straight, like a house or a highway or factories, you know people have been around because they always make things straight. They're bothered by wiggly things, even though we're all very wiggly. So we're always straightening it out. And so, yet at the same time, when we get it too straight, we don't like it. But what do we want? Well, you can always say we want something betwixt and between. We want a certain amount of control, yes. But we also want a certain amount of randomness. We like things to be tidy. We like things to be simple. We like things to be comprehensible, and yet we don't really. What we want is a kind of orderly randomness and a random orderliness. That's what Buddha called the middle way. And but the maintenance of the middle way is very difficult. It's like walking a tightrope. And when you walk a tightrope, you're always swaying a little bit from side to side. You're counterbalancing yourself. And so to keep the middle way is a matter of constant counterbalancing, and that's difficult. And so we say, well, I know I did want the middle way, but it's awfully difficult to keep it. And that's rather a bore, too. So we really don't know what we want. And yet, in a way, we want what we've got. Because profoundly, looking at it from the most profound point of view, we wouldn't have what we've got if we didn't want it. That's what the Buddhists and the Hindus call karma. The doctrine that what comes to you is a return to you of what goes out of you. Karma, when you say it is your karma that this has happened, it means very strictly it is your doing that it has happened, because the word karma means doing or action. But of course, because we are constantly complaining and say, I didn't want this and I didn't want that, and somebody else is to blame, and you did it, or the universe did it, or something like that, or God did it, we are constantly unaware of the fact that we get what we want. And we are unaware of what we want also because we want a lot of things that we don't admit we want. And we don't admit it to ourselves. You know that time and time again where somebody wishes their mother was dead, but can't possibly admit that. And finally they go to psychoanalysis, and it comes out they really do wish their mother were out of the way. And, that's a great revelation. So in the same way, you will find we have all kinds of concealed wishes that we won't admit. And if we really went into it, I think we would find that we are, on the whole, living the way we want to live. That would be embarrassing to find out for very many reasons, not only because we would discover all sorts of villainy within ourselves, but also because we would discover a great deal of power within ourselves. And that's dangerous, because you might begin to think you were God. And this then raises the second problem. The moment you really get into it, when you ask, what do you want? It raises the second problem, who are you? What are you? And we haven't thought that over by a long shot.